Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kshitij Vashish, and I'm from shiksha.com. The topic for today's webinar is higher education and COVID-19 impact and future. We have the honor to have our honorable team of panelists with us, our experts. First one, we have Dr. R.K. Mishra, who is the Senior Professor, Director at ONGC, Chair Professor at the Institute of Public Enterprise, is a graduate of International Management Program, SDA Bocconi, Milan, Italy. He has been a fellow of British Council and Commonwealth Secretariat. He has been on the boards of a few public and private sector enterprises. He is on the advisory panel on corporate governance constituted by the Government of India. He has considerable experience of teaching and guiding research for the doctoral degree in management, economics, administration, and commerce. His current interests include modernization of state and civil war systems, financial administration, environmental administration, privatization, SOE reforms, restructuring, poverty management, and good governance. Our second expert is Mr. Vishal Kumar. Mr. Vishal is the Chief Executive Officer at Ormeal Foods and Voxen Group of Institutions. He's a sales and marketing professional with 19 years of experience in sales and distribution, team management, GTM transformation, category management, customer marketing, sales execution strategy, and automation across food and beverages, FMCG, FMCD, telecom, and retail space. His key skills include P&L management, business turnaround and strategy, sales and distribution, trade and channel strategy, category and channel management, go-to-market transformation, execution excellence, team management, product and brand management, etc. Now we move on to our third expert, third panelist. We have the honor to have Dr. Vishnu P. Pal with us today, who is the Professor of Physics and Dean and Dean Academic. I'm sorry, I'll repeat it. Dr. Vishnu P. Pal is the Professor of Physics and Dean Academics at Mahindra Ecole Central. After working at IIT Delhi for over 35 years, he worked for 3 years since July 1st, 2014 at Mahindra Ecole Central College of Engineering as Professor and Head of Physics and the School of Natural Sciences, started by Tech Mahindra Group at Hyderabad, in collaboration with Central Superlect Group of Central Ecole Group of Institutions. On July 3rd, 2017, he joined Bennett University and he rejoined MEC at Hyderabad as Dean Academics on July 11th, 2018. Last but not the least, we have the honor to have Dr. Saurabh Bhattacharya with us, who is the Professor Operations Management at IMT Hyderabad. His specialities include project management skills, negotiation with clients, vendors, and top management, people skills, technical skills in terms of subject knowledge, and teaching skills in terms of subject knowledge, as well as delivery. I would now like to take a few moments to introduce shiksha.com to us and our performance in the last 1 year, from 1st April 2019 till 31st of March 2020. Shiksha.com in the last 1 year saw more than 335 million page views, more than 71 million active students, more than 140 million student visits, and an average duration of 2 minutes and 20 seconds per visit by any user. Shiksha.com has information about 30,000 plus colleges with more than 2 lakh plus courses and a list of more than 600 entrance examinations to help you prepare for your dream exam and course. We receive a healthy traction on our platform because we host detailed and comprehensive information on both domestic and international institutions to enable the right college decision for students. On our website, you would be able to find more than 1,75,000 college reviews, question and answers platform, ebooks, and sample papers to help you prepare. We also have study abroad counseling services, tools like colleges and rank predictors, college comparisons, news and articles to keep you updated, and tools like Campus Connect to help you connect with the current alumni and make your decision easier. I would now like to invite our first speaker, Dr. R.K. Mishra, to provide his piece of information and educate students on higher education scenario in COVID-19 crisis. What is the impact and what does the future hold? Thank you so much, Dr. R.K. Mishra, for joining us today, and welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vasis Sahab. It's a great opportunity to be a part of this webinar. Shiksha is so well known, not only in India, anywhere abroad. It has been doing a great service, and its outreach is commendable. Kind of work Shiksha has done has certainly helped higher education to make a big place for itself in an emerging economy like India. When I say this, I must pay my respects to the distinguished panelists here, Professor Paul, a very eminent colleague who has served for so many years, and with him, tremendous knowledge and experience. And I'm sure that we, as the other panelists, will gain a lot from his presence over here. We have Professor Bhattacharya, again, a very eminent colleague in the field of management education. He is known for his expertise in the area of project management and also in the area of teaching skills. And we are proud of a colleague like Professor Bhattacharya. And of course, we have Professor Kumar, who is now taking Workson Group ahead of, I think, many other institutions. He is not only a marketer, but he is also a very good educationist. And he combines, I think, with him the experience from marketing, I think, the higher education. So I think it is going to be a very, very great panel. Now, today we are meeting in a very, very interesting context, and India is known for contextual learning and contextual leadership. When I say that, the question comes whether higher education has anything to play. And before I proceed to talk about this, I remember my teacher, who was a Nobel laureate Sir Arthur Lewis. He taught me that Professor Arthur Lewis, in his 152-page book, on which he got his Nobel, he writes place, higher education is not invented in order to enable men to produce more goods and services. The purpose of higher education is to enable them to understand better the world in which they live, so that they may more fully experience their potential capacities. I have another guru, that is Amrit Sen. Amrit Sen is known, I think, for his expertise, especially on education anywhere in the world. And Amrit Sen also says that higher education is both a constituent and an instrument of well-being. Now, I think now this is the backdrop in which we can discuss the role of higher education. And when you talk of COVID today, if we don't have higher education in the place where it is, I think higher education should have been put at a higher pedestal. But given whatever we have, if we didn't have that, then we would not have had the number of doctors that we are talking about. Our doctors, I think, the Prime Minister says that they are, they are the COVID warriors. I think we will not have these warriors. We would not have these strategists who come from IAS, Indian Administrative Service, who come from different provincial services. We would not have had them. If higher education would not have been there, where is the question of supply chain management today? In such a situation, supply chain management, I think, provides key to make the lockdown efforts a big success. And if we didn't have those who are coming from business schools, all kind of business schools, IIMs, IITs, Tier 1 schools, Tier 2 schools, Tier 3 schools, if we didn't have this force of 400,000 students in our country, which are turning out every year, I don't think, I think we would have messed up, I think, all that, been doing, I think, so far. So higher education has a very, very great role within that. Professional education, again, I think, has a very, very great role. And it comes out very clearly from what Nobel laureate Arthur Lewis said, that higher education provides leadership. And you can understand, I think, in one of the Upanishads, they say, Mahajano yan katase pantha, where big people go, other people they follow. So these big people, from where they have come, they have was that an opportunity to go in for higher education, like Lord Krishna went for higher education, Lord Rama, I think, went for higher education. You, I think, go through Indian ethos, Indian culture. You go through, I think, other culture. You find that people who have made it so big, they made it so big because they had a very great thought. And the higher education provides you an opportunity to improve your thinking way of thinking, your thought stream. Now, given all that, I would say that in our country, with 45,000 colleges, about 1,500 universities, I think now 22 IIMs and so many IITs, certainly I think we have taken a very, very big lead. And this kind of institution, these kind of institutions we have created, they'll help us not only in solving the present day problems, but also in helping us in coming out with a vaccine now. All over the world, I think we have been talking about vaccines, and I'm very sure that Indian labs, Indian laboratories, the kind of institutions we have created over the years, they all are, I think, busy in us. Not only this, when you talk of higher education, we also see that in case of higher education, we have done tremendous research, and this research now says that this virus has undergone so many mutations. Only in the case of higher education, you bring in, I think, the problem, then you bring analysis, then you bring out solution, then you bring out synthesis. If higher education would not have been there, then there is the question of synthesis, because we can't say that the diagnosis that we suggest for Rajasthan would be diagnosis that could be applicable in West Bengal, and what we suggest in West Bengal would be applicable in Arunachal, and what we say in Arunachal would be applicable in Telangana. That just would not be possible. But through research, I think the kind of research that our laboratories, I think they are engaged in, I think they are doing tremendous work, and that happens because of higher education. The only point that I want to make is that our higher education has to go a long way, and high time has come. And I'm sure that our government has been thinking about that they have to increase a very, very, substantially, I think, in a very big way, the outlays on higher education. Unfortunately, when I was a student, then about 70% of the budget of education was being spent on higher education. Now I think the budget quantum has increased, but the percentage money that we are increasing on spending on higher education is very low. It has come down from 70 to 7%. So let me, I think, bring out this thing very clearly through this webinar, that today we are enjoying the dividends of the infrastructure created, the institutions we created, the kind of people who came out. Don't claim for myself, but I see Professor Pad over here, I see Professor Bhattacharya over here, I see Professor Kurma. All these, they all have been the products of the education that they received in the past. I but don't think that for next 50 years, these three and people like these three will lead, can solve the problem of India, can solve, I think, can supply everything. Therefore, I think there is high time that we need to spend more on higher education. We improve quality in higher education. We need to spend much more money on research, because the money that we spend on research in higher education, that money is not a wasteful spending. If today we had a lot of money like some other countries, let's say on vaccine and these things, today the money that we would have spent have come many more times to us. I just want to make one more point. I can give you the case, let's say electronics now. Now in electronics, we have Bharat Electronics Limited. Now BEL is one enterprise which spends 8% of its turnover on research, and it is one enterprise which gets 12% of its turnover from exports and from internal consumption of the research products that it makes. Therefore, what I would like to say is that higher education, which has made a very great role, a time has come that we recognize its potential. We give, I think, a belief to the students who are coming to higher education stream in universities, in institutions, and who are going abroad and coming to India. We give them a feeling of trust and belief that they have taken the right decision. One thing, that they have got a very future. Two, that country is concerned about them. Then that those who are providing higher education, they are being looked after well. That we in higher education, we believe not only on the successes that we have achieved so far, the success of yesterday and any for the success in future, we give them a confidence that you all have key to take India to another level. And I'm very sure our youngsters who are in the universities and colleges, the youngsters who are in the professional institutions, and the kind of teachers we have, the kind of work they have done, the institutions we have created, they have every potential, I think, to take India ahead. Finally, one more point I'll make, and that point is that COVID-19 has brought a great opportunity for higher education, in the sense that there is a possibility that many industries they may shift, I think, from China to India. Though I was going through one survey which says that out of 97 industries that they surveyed, they found 10 or 11 they want to come to India because of high tariff regime, high capital costs, high electricity costs, and red tape. I think these are all the problems that we can solve. But if we get all these industries, then our higher education institutions will have to do much more, and I'm very sure that their products can get very good placements over there. And therefore, I would say that great opportunity has come the way to the way higher education institutions that are functioning in India. They must grab this opportunity. They must rise, I think, to the challenges. They should not only have skills, but they should also strengthen their thought stream. They should strategize, and they should take a very big um, every possibility that now Indian students for higher education may not go in the manner they were going abroad. The preference for US has come down, the preference for Europe has come down, the preference for other countries are coming down, and therefore, since I have a lot of appreciation for shiksha.com, I would request shiksha.com and all those who are now on this webinar to take note of this thing, that this is an opportunity for all of us, that we get abroad, that India replaces Harvard, Hyderabad replaces Harvard, India replaces US, India brings back those days of Nalanda and Mohenjo-daro, where we can get students coming from different parts of India, different parts of the world to India, because India can provide education with ethos, education with values, education with ethics, education with content, education with the, with the potential to lead the country, education which can help people in making better lives in the times to come. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. R.K. Mishra. And I'm sure the students will see a lot of value in the information and education that you have provided, and will help them deal with this lockdown crisis for sure. I would now like to welcome Mr. Vishal Kumar, who's the CEO, Ormeal Foods and Voxen Group of Institutions. Welcome, Mr. Vishal, and please shed light on and then please guide the students on how they can tackle this lockdown crisis and how to go out of it stronger. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Vishal Kumar. I represent Voxen Group of Institutions. First of all, my sincere thanks to Shiksha for organizing this webinar. In the kind of a flux situation we are in, most of the students are looking at how this whole situation they will be able to tide over, and there are a lot of questions which are there. So I think towards that, organizing this seminar is going to be extremely helpful for the students. Also, I would like to thank all the other panelists also. It's an esteemed panelists we have, and it's an honor to be part of such an august panelist here. In terms of COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on higher education, what I personally feel is that from a student's perspective, if you look at it, what comes out clearly is that the current COVID pandemic has pushed us completely into uncharted waters and forced us into looking at things with a completely new lens. I mean, today, if you see across the world, over 100 crore students worldwide are not able to attend their schools and universities. So that's such a staggering number, and this is only as a measure to stop this contagion. And in India also, as you know very well, because we are in lockdown situation, it has forced the central and state governments to shut down all the educational institutions temporarily, resulting into the disruption of studies. But I think research has pretty much shared with us on the findings that in terms of the conventional education system, we always believe that superior learning is a function of studying at the campus, where the students get personal attention from the faculty. Cross learning from the peer group is there. They are able to develop their social skills. They are able to work on group assignments to foster their student growth as well as learning ability. Even a short period of missing the physical classes is perceived negatively impacting the multidisciplinary learning and the connect across the various fields, skills, and ideation, etc. So in terms of that, if you see, my way of looking at it is that this is bringing in a digital transformation in the entire education space. That is for sure. But at the same time, if we are thinking that this is going to be replacing the brick and mortar setup of learning, I think that's not going to happen. Research has clearly proven that in the past, home learning affects the students' productivity, social life, and the learning outcome. In my opinion, online teaching will never be able to completely replace the brick and mortar based learning environment because of so many inherent merits which are there in the brick and mortar system. Online teaching is a newer phenomenon in a country like India, and I think the whole impact of it or the setback of it is something which is going to come to light later in the decade when you will see the personal issues, the social issues kind of glaring up with the students taking up more of this. So I think from a student perspective, what I clearly understand is if you really want a holistic development of your personality, you want to get your functional and behavioral skills right up there in terms of what the industry needs, I think there is no other replacement of the campus life which can prepare you for a future tomorrow. So that's one of the things which is there. Now, bringing on the COVID-19 has also, led to a global recession, as we all know. And most of the industries, the economic scenario is pretty much into a much worse state because of this lockdown situation. Let's try and reflect back a little bit, I think, in the interest of the students also, to understand that from their perspective, what this global recession has having in store for them. So if you pick up the learnings of your 2008 global recession, you would see that any global recession takes about, minimum 6 odd quarters to move towards the next tide of making the economy into a booming state. So the GDP decline in 2008, if you see, across the world globally was about 5% odd. And similarly, I think if you see the unemployment rate also was at about a peak of 10% odd what they were able to hear during that time. Now, in today's context, if you see, most of the research agencies, let's say you talk about IMF projections, you talk about Fitch, you talk about Standard & Poor, S&P ratings which are coming, the kind of growth what is being pegged for India economy is being talked about less than 1% in today's scenario. And of course, that is going to have an impact on the society, that is going to have an impact on the employment rate. There is going to be a spike in the unemployment rate and all of that. Not only that, I think the core sectors also are going to struggle, at least over the next 4 to 6 quarters. So why it is important, why this whole statistics is important for the students? Look, today, if you are thinking of, dropping a year and not getting into any of the PG courses after your UG and etc., I think the best bet today probably is going to be that you sign up for a PG program in a reputed institution and ensure that you are able to use this time of the next 8 quarters to ensure that you are able to upskill yourself, to ensure that you are able to tide over this crisis of recession which is there, so that by the time you are out of the institute and you have finished your MBA or a PGDM, you will be in a much better position to take on the future roles, take on the bigger responsibilities of the corporate world. So I think it is much more important for all the students to understand that getting into a low paid, low profile job is not going to be the right thing to do at this point in time. And hence, I think even if you look at from the last global recession of 2008, you will be surprised to know that the number of institutions almost doubled when in 2008 the total number of institutions in India were, and the student enrollments also actually increased by almost 120% within the first 2 years of the global recession itself. So essentially what clearly comes out is that basis the past trends, the student enrollment students understood that it is important that they should take on the courses which are relevant for them, which make sense for them, in which kind of career they would like to pursue as they move forward. So they enrolled in that so that they are able to take it up when the market is recovering. They are just going to be at the right time in terms of being ready when the industry is going to be ready to hire new resources and hire new industry-ready professionals from the top tier B schools like Watson. Apart from that, I would also like to talk about the kind of a playbook which is important for the students to understand. I think if you see in today's context, if you don't pick up any of the PG courses or courses after your undergrad, what you will end up doing is only two options you have. One, you can drop a year for a next year to pick up a PG course, or you can pick up a job. Now, if you pick up a job and you are thinking that that is going to be the right thing to do for you, you can imagine that you will end up into a lower job profile. There's a risk of a job cut which is going to be there. The packages are not going to be that great any which ways. There will be some kind of a non-managerial jobs which you'll be able to get after your graduation. And you will be ending up wasting 2 years. Net, even after 1 year, the kind of increments what you can expect from those kind of jobs are not going to be sufficient enough to take care of your career aspirations. So towards that, the other option is you sign up for a PGDM program where you end up upskilling yourself with the functional knowledge. You upskill yourself with the leadership skills. You upskill yourself with the behavioral skills. You don't end up wasting time. And by the time you are ready, after the 2 years, you have a lot more lucrative job opportunities which are ready for you to take it up. So that's the kind of a playbook I think as a student you should be looking at. It is important for you to understand this and act on it today without wasting any time. Aside that, I would also like to talk about from an education institution perspective. We all, I think, are embracing the digital transformation today. A lot of the institutions today who I have been speaking to, who I have been connecting to, technology is all pervasive and it will stay at the core for any disruption which is going to come in the higher learning and education space. All forward-looking institutions are taking a bold step into the future and creating a 360-degree digital integration plan. And guess what? There are only two options which are available. In such kind of a crisis, what is important for an institution is only two options available. One, either you embrace the digital transformation and hence you pivot to the requirements of today, or you will end up perishing yourself. So the idea is that you don't perish and you take a bold call today to embrace this digital transformation and get yourself to the next level in terms of delivering a quality education to the students as we move forward. That's what exactly Watson is doing today, and trying to embrace the digital transformation to get the online learning available, virtual learning available, even if these tough times of lockdown are there. Aside that, what we are also looking at is in today's context of digital transformation, what is happening, there is a lot more new programs which are going to come in the emerging technologies and digital space. So if you talk about for the various career opportunities which are going to be there, thanks to COVID, and I see this as an opportunity in the higher education space, where you would see that emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, big data, data sciences. So all of these are going to be the big ones, IoT or cybersecurity. All of these are going to be the kind of new age courses which are going to be at the forefront, and the career opportunities in these courses are going to be much more than the regular conventional ones. So hence the students have to understand and they need to really see that they should be able to ride this wave of technology so that they are able to make their career in the right way in these particular fields. The last disruption, which I can also see, which is coming in this space, is that today I was looking at the scenario where COVID is posing a big challenge for the students who were earlier aspiring to go abroad. I think the whole study abroad category is going to shrink. It's going to shrink big time over the next 8 quarters. I can tell you for sure. And guess what? What the student and the parents today are looking at is trying to see that which are those top tier institutes which can give that kind of a quality education which the foreign universities are able to give, and the kind of career opportunities those institutes were able to give. And there is a huge number of students who are signing up for those top tier institutes today to get onto their higher education and complete their higher education rather than going out of India. I think that's the best thing which can happen, not only to the state like Telangana, but also for the country, that you are able to retain the talent within the country. And there are enough and more top tier institutes which are there, which can deliver that kind of a quality education the way you are able to envisage when you look at top tier colleges like Stanford, Harvard, Purdue, Oxford, Babson's and all. So hence, I think clearly the impact is there, and the impact I see is more towards the positives than on the negative side. And towards the end, as I bring an end towards my address, I would like to leave it with the thought that this crisis is the best time for us, all of us, as a education industry, as academicians, as students and parents, to reflect upon ourselves, to utilize this lockdown for understanding the bigger opportunities which are coming our way, so that once the life is coming back to normal, we are able to prepare ourselves to turn this crisis into our advantage. That's all from my side. Thank you so much. We'll be happy to take questions at a later stage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kurma. And in fact, we have a few questions that any of the panelists can take. So we will take a couple of questions now, and then we'll move ahead with the next panelist that we have, Dr.
Sure.
Vishnu B. Pal. So the
Sure.
first question is from Tanya Agrawal. So Tanya wants to ask, will this epidemic impact the placements of students who will be taking admissions this year in MBA?
No, absolutely not. I don't think so. That's going to be a challenge at all. Because if you look at your learnings from 2008 global recession also, the whole recession went on for about 6 quarters, as you know, right? And after that, the market was really moving and it was taking it further. So if you sign up, Tanya, this year, you stay assured that over the next 6 odd quarters, the whole thing is going to be behind you. The market will be looking up for sure. And I think you will be doing the right thing by signing up into a top tier institute for your higher education, and ensure that you utilize these 8 quarters for upskilling yourself, so that by the time you are finishing up and completing your 2-year PGDM program or whatsoever, there will be a great set of companies, top tier corporates and top 500 corporates, which are going to be there flocking the campuses of the top tier institutes to pick up a great talent like you. So don't worry at all.
In my view, I
Thank you
think.
so much for the answer, sir.
No,
in
my view, I think placements at lower level may be affected, but placements at the managerial level will not be affected at all. And more enterprises in India and abroad will become managerial oriented organizations. And given that, I think there will be a greater demand. That's one. There will be better salaries. That is two. And number three, I think there will be a greater mobility, despite all kinds of things that we have been hearing. And now economic and also thinkers, they've been coming out with different kind of connotations. They say it will be a V-shaped recovery. Some people say it is U-shaped recovery. Some people say it is W-shaped recovery. But what has come out, I think today, what I read from Mr. Pangadia, who is now in one of the leading in Stanford somewhere in US. He said that chances of recovery are very, very fast, and I'm very sure that recovery will start taking place right at this year itself. So I think anybody can easily say that going for higher education courses will be paying proposition in the sense that higher education will provide higher level of training, higher level of inputs, high level of contextual, learning, and we will also see the total output which will come will be a value added output, and therefore there will be many takers. So there won't be any, I don't think, there will be any hitch into management institutes or coming to to technical institutes. I don't think there should be anything. I am sure that Indians, especially Indians, have a very good future. Again, for two things, Indians are hardworking. We had beaten our our competitors. Even in the earlier years, you see all those companies are being run by Indians. So Indians are the choice. They are the global choice. So that is one thing. Number two, the training that we give over here, the input that we give over here, exposure that they have here, the cultural kind of exposure that they have here, the mannerisms. I'm sure that it makes you for superior jobs, superior salaries, superior level of achievements.
Thank you so much for the answer, sir. Dr. Bhattacharya, Dr. Pal, you want to add something, sir?
Now, what both the panelists told, Dr. Mishra and Mr. Vishal, I totally agree with them that it has given more challenge for to build up education in comparison to what is available abroad, and because many of you are looking for going abroad, but rather it would be difficult. So therefore, it's a challenge to us, the academics, to build up the higher education platform better and better and more competitive with the Western.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So let's take a quick question, quick second question, and then we'll move on to our next segment of presentation by Dr. Vishnu B. Pal. So we have Pooja with us. Pooja wants to ask, I'm currently pursuing my final semester of BBA. I'll be writing MAT 2020 entrance examination that is postponed to June. Will I be able to get admission for the very same year, as I have not given any other entrance examination?
Yes, you
Anybody
can.
who wants to take it?
Yeah, let me answer this. You are eligible. You can take GMAT examination. You can take MAT. MAT has decided to defer the examination, but they'll be announcing the date very soon. We have Atma. There, so there are so many exams, and I don't think many institutions can start before 16th of August. And I'm sure admissions will go on till middle of September. There should not be any difficulty in getting admissions anyway.
Thanks, Dr. Mishra. Just to add on to what Dr. Mishra said, I 100% endorse. And Pooja, clearly there is no reason why you should be dropping a year. Absolutely doesn't make any sense. So there are multiple options for the entrance tests which are available today. So even, for example, Watson has its own Watson aptitude test also. So you can basically, apply, and we can go ahead with whatever the scores are. So some of the leading institutions are taking GMAT and other scores as well. So if you have the GMAT scores, that also can be used by the top tier institutes. There is no issue at all. So definitely from a starting of the academic session perspective, you are not late. I don't see that as a reason. The whole session is going to start somewhere in the month of August, which is what my hunch is. And of course, we would look forward to some of the government notifications and from UGC to come towards when actually the session is going to start. But even if it starts from the month of August, and there is a possibility that the first month or a few weeks could be an online delivery of the course, which also is a possibility, and we can obviously gear up, and we are geared up towards that kind of arrangement as well, to ensure that the students don't lose their year. So don't worry about it. I think you should just simply enroll and apply to the right institute and move ahead.
IIM Calcutta will have only online, learning in the first semester. For the year 2020-21, they will not have any physical classes. They will be on online classes. So as Saab is saying, I think yes, there can be a mix, and there is enough time. There is time for it. The only thing you have to catch up.
Great. Thanks so much, Dr. Mishra. Thank you so much, Mr. Vishal. Okay, so now we would move on to the next panelist. So we have the honor to have Dr. Vishnu P. Pal today with us, who is the Professor of Physics and Dean Academics at Mahindra Ecole. Dr. Pal, I would now like to welcome you to present your piece of information and guide students through this crisis, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thanks to Shiksha for this opportunity to share some thoughts. And before I forget, I wanted to tell Dr. Mishra that you are the Subir Raha chair. Subir Raha was a very close friend of mine. He was a 1 year senior to me at Jadavpur University.
And Amrit Sen also came from Jadavpur. Amrit Sen was also from Jadavpur.
Okay. So I think most of the things that was covered by Dr. Mishra and Vishal more or less gave the good scenario of what post-COVID challenges or impact. You see, a monster virus has brought the entire world to a standstill. According to UNESCO, apparently 99.9%, 192 countries have been affected so far. So almost 99%, over 99% of students are effectively affected all over the world. And accordingly, digital delivery become an important challenge for all who are involved in academics. We at Mahindra Ecole, at what I will refer to in short as AMEC, we have fortunately our faculty took up this challenge very well, and we are almost close to finishing the entire syllabus by end of next week. In fact, some of this would be over by end of this week, and maybe up to middle of next week, we should be covering almost entire syllabus for all the 4 years of engineering. So in a way, we are just behind by say about a week or so than what was our academic calendar was, because we switched to digital delivery in terms of online delivery of courses to the students quite early actually. And what we do is that we share the lectures. So it is run something like a split class. We share the lectures before, 2 days before with the students. And then when the delivery is taken place, the students are serious-minded students are somewhat already prepared for the class. And so it goes on very well. And there is also some question hour time given to the students. And we are also thinking of specific question answer session for every course. Should be till the exams dates are announced by the government. We don't know, it's not in our control. And as I understand that possibly maybe UGC is the high level committee which has recommended, it is now available in the literature that what has been recommended. It looks like, of course, in engineering it has to be, finally recommendation should come from AICT. It appears that the exams maybe will have to go to summer vacation a bit early, and the exams have to be held in particularly the final year students by July, middle or so, and then if things go on well, and then followed by the of the other students. Now, it is still not clear in what form the exams will be taken. So this is being debated all over because social distancing has become an important norm. So you can't have a regular type of exams so you may have to have exams in multiple sessions. And so this is one challenge that we have to look for. And about the new semester, particularly the students who are looking for starting off their career in the fall semester, as Dr. Mishra has pointed out, and also Mr. Vishal has pointed out, that most likely it will be through digital delivery. Again, once at least for the next semester, looks like. So now with the experience that is gained, in particular in the spring semester, I think the faculty will be more well geared and prepared to make it to go to the next level. There are, of course, questions about how do you do the laboratory, because we are in a technical college. So how do you do the laboratory? In this semester, that most of the experiments have been already performed. Maybe one or two are still left. So that could be done by teachers recording a video of performing the experiments, sharing the manual. That's what we have thought, sharing the manual with the students, and then showing them through a video how this experiment is performed. And when they come back, to the campus, if necessary, they can carry out those experiments on Sunday. Okay, there are issues of some questions which are being raised all over the world, including my friends from USA. I had a 2.5-hour web meeting yesterday with IEEE. IEEE is a very famous professional organization in USA. So there are issues like one-dimensional learning, because you don't interact with the teachers as much as you do, and your eye contact, through the eye contact, as you do in physical class. So Mr. Vishal has rightly said that even though we are becoming better and better in terms of digital delivery, but this cannot be 100% replacement for the physical classes. So that has to be there. So we have to find out how to do that with a minimum impact in terms of social distancing. Maybe the same course is taught multiple times, so that to a limited number of students each group. I personally had an experience of earlier, although it's not very interesting for the teacher, because he just keeps repeating the same. When I first joined here at MEC, we did not have a very big classroom available for 240 students. So it was maximum we could accommodate in a classroom was 120. Now that problem is overcome. But at that first semester, I had to teach the first year students in 120 in one batch, 120 in another batch, but the same thing, usually in the morning and afternoon. So the teacher has grown in terms of physical delivery, although doesn't have to prepare it once again. Okay, so that is one thing which we have to somehow accommodate through more and more slots for online discussion of the students if everything becomes online. Also, we have noticed that attendance in the classes has actually been improved through the online delivery. I don't know about the Mr. Vishal Kumar and other panelists who are here, but whether they have seen that. So particularly the split class would become the mode of online delivery, I feel. Second thing is that already raised by my two previous panelists, that in view of the fact that there's a good chance, this is all being debated, good chance that a lot of business will come to India and from China migrate to India, which means we have to India has manpower has to gear and become, they should get more and more higher education to take up the challenge of developing new products, new things, and things like that to compete with nations like China. So, so higher education becomes an important, platform for all of you to look for. And I agree with Mr. Vishal's one suggestion, what he said, that why do you want to join at this time of recession and at a relatively a lower level or lower salary? Why not take up a higher education for next 2 years, build up your qualification and your equipment, and hopefully get a much better job after 2 years. So more or less this, I would like to sign off. We are also running short of time because we have to take questions. So I would leave this stage at this stage and leave it for the next panelist to say his opinion. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much for your piece of advice, sir. And Now let's quickly move to our next expert, Dr. Saurabh Bhattacharya, before we start the detailed question and answer session, where we will take all the questions from the audiences that they have posted. So welcome, Dr. Saurabh, and please go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Kshitij, you were supposed to share the screen with me. I have
Sure, sir.
to use
Just give
my
me a moment.
PPT.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, sure.
Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
We can see the first slide, right? Okay.
Right. So, good afternoon, everyone, and very good afternoon once again to my co-panelists, Dr. Mishra, Mr. Vishal, and Dr. Pal. It's an honor to be here with eminent people like you. And also, thank you, Shiksha, for giving me this opportunity to put my thoughts in a few slides that I have. uh, So the most challenging part of the last presenter is to say something which is not yet said. Uh, all my eminent panelists have touched upon very important points, and some of the points that I have noted down also. Somehow I see some kind of convergence of thoughts in all the three panelists' presentation here. So one of the important things that all of them agreed is that let's look at this pandemic as an opportunity for India because the study abroad programs are not happening well. The markets are low, so that's the best time to invest yourself in education. Probably after 1.5 or 2 years time, you will see that markets are growing up, and that's when you will also be up for your placements. I somehow understand and agree with all those points. My presentation here is basically from the Institute's point of view, and I would, in the first 1 or 2 slides, I would just try to play the devil's advocate and probably see how the challenges have to be taken and handled. So let's have a look at what are the immediate impacts that we see because of the lockdown. And I have divided my stakeholders into three categories. One is the student, second one is the faculty of the institutes, and third one, the institutes themselves. Of course, I have not included the recruiters here for the very reason that, of course, the recruitments are not happening at the pace that we want them to happen. But immediately we see that most of the exams and their results are delayed. The admission process have been delayed. The joining dates for the jobs have been delayed. Study abroad plans have been uncertain, almost coming down to very low percentage. All this leading to a lot of anxiety and nervousness among the students who had made their plans for the next year. Um, and they're trying to adjust to the new normal, which is now the thing that we are currently doing, getting adjusted with the online system of delivery, talking to people over the videos, which was not so commonplace maybe 2 months back. And most importantly, from the student point of view, is the fact that they're missing their campus. That psychologically drains out. In fact, most of the youngsters who had a lot of excitement to join the campus and meet their folks. So that's not happening. From the faculty's point of view, I see some positives and some negatives. Of course, the academic plans they had made at the beginning of the academic session have been disrupted. Access to a lot of infrastructure that includes the soft as well as the hard infrastructure is limited now. It's not completely available. Then the very fact that faculties enjoy their profession is the peer group interaction that they do with other colleagues, which is also limited. Uh, the livelihood of a faculty, or I would say the life of the faculty, is from the students. So they're missing the students. I miss my students, meeting them on a daily basis on the corridors or the cafeteria. So these are all negatives about the pandemic. But there are positives as well, like you get to spend more time with your family. you're getting adjusted to the new normal, which is working from home, and also you're working for home, doing all the cleaning and maintenance and taking care of the kids. So that is one positive that I look at for the faculty. Uh, Now, the most important entity in both the student and faculty is this institute which holds them together. I see, and we are seeing that most of the academic, administrative, or the financial plans that have been made at the beginning of the academic year, they have all been moving towards disruption. So, of course, there's some kind of discomfort that we are seeing in terms of academic, administrative, and financial plans that were made. Underutilization of the resources, the classrooms are empty, the hostel rooms are empty, so the resources, the canteens are empty, so these resources are all underutilized. Some of the important decisions, for instance, we are yet not aware when will UGC or AICT allow us to admit the students and start the sessions. So because of those uncertainties, a lot of important decisions that we have made about, or we have to make about our next year academics are deferred. And then we had to make some suboptimal decisions during this time of summers. For instance, we would have our internships going on at this point in time, where the students physically go to the organizations and do their internship. But then, because of the pandemic, we are not allowed to, and the students will have to work from home. So some of the very exciting projects that the student could have done by being in the offices or corporates, we are not able to do. So that's the reason the kind of some of suboptimal decisions we had to take. Now, with all these difficulties that we are facing, the first reaction that everyone gets is that go online, and because there's no other thing to do. Uh, uh, Something that has been one of the low priority interventions in the last 20 years in the academic world, at least, has suddenly become a very hot topic of discussion in the academic committees of the universities. So some of you, of course, would also agree with me that making the entire delivery on taking the entire delivery on the digital platform has never been in the thought process of academic institutions. So we have always been thinking of creating something which is a blended kind of a delivery. In fact, if it is face to face, better it is. So making things totally digital has never been a strategic initiative that has been taken by any institute so far, as far as the India is concerned. So suddenly this has become a hot topic. So most of the discussions are now around what is that best platform or best service provider who will give me the platform through which I can deliver my content in the best possible way to my students. And whether it is a Zoom or it's a Cisco WebEx or it is any other platform that we should sign up for, so that the overall experience of delivering the content becomes the best for the students. But eventually, if you come to think of it, let's say tomorrow you find that particular platform, are we going to say that I have won the war against the pandemic situation that is there and all my solutions are here? I have my own doubts about it. So that's the reason I say that, of course, online is one of the solutions to this particular situation. But before we take a decision regarding moving online, there are certain important challenges or challenging questions we need to answer. Uh, uh, First question that I think makes a big difference is that, is online really one size fits all solution for higher education? And I'm sure by now, after listening to all the esteemed panelists, we would know the answer to this question is no. So online is not the one size fits all kind of a solution. There are many other dimensions to moving and dealing with this kind of disruption that we are facing in a very sudden manner. So the questions are, what about the learning outcomes? So when you start off, you have devised certain learning outcomes for each of the courses and of the programs and of the institution. will you be able to replicate the same learning outcomes when you move online? What about taking the concepts to higher order thinking? When you, especially, I think Dr. Pal is there, he would agree with me that some of the very important concepts in physics, where you need to have very deep down thinking about it, you simply can't do it online. You have to be there inside the class with the faculties, with the students, and discuss about that and take it to that level. And similarly, in management also, there are certain theories that cannot be simply discussed online. It requires some kind of face-to-face interaction. Eventually, we have seen that online courses completion rates are abysmally low. So how does one take care of student completing the course? So that is one very important question one needs to answer. What about the content and the context? Now, this is, I think, Dr. Mishra was also talking about, is that for a specific context, a faculty delivers or designs a content. So content is designed based on the context. You cannot use the same content in all the contexts possible. Now, eventually, that can be possible when you are in a brick and mortar model, as Vishal was talking about. It becomes easier to contextualize your content very flexibly when you are in a brick and mortar rather than on the online setup. Uh, uh, and this is also a very important point, and we have been told when we joined the management education that there are learning styles. Every student has a different learning style, and the role of the faculty is to somehow understand the learning styles of each of the student and try to match his teaching style with that learning style.